And we'll get into some baseball and the Yankees. As you know, I have been anxiously watching and updating and trying to figure out whether the Yankees are going to be a major disappointment yet again in potentially losing to Baltimore in what is the tightest of tight American League wildcard races. Brett Gardner coming through with a bloop 2 RBI single to give the Yankees the lead 4-3 in the ninth, and we'll update that as we go along. But the Yankees playing a number of close games. It's just who they've been this year, and it just you feel like again with the Baltimore Orioles, there's not a ton of separation, and a team you feel like the Yankees should be handling, and yet they're in a close game again. But can they find a way to win? They're 3 outs away from doing that.
Yeah, the Yankees, they should be winning more against a team like the Orioles, who only have 40-something wins on the season. I think they're only 10-7 against the Orioles this season, and that's not really acceptable for a team with the amount of talent the Yankees have, the amount of the salary that they're spending on their players. Article on the New York Post. I mean, they're making nothing easy. Not even a win over the Orioles with Gerrit Cole on the mound has been easy for them, and they're in a very close race. Them, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, they're all within like half a game of each other. And they need to win against the Orioles and against other weaker teams coming up in their schedule before they play some tough series against the Rays, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing to me about the Yankees, and just how do you get a read on a team that has been so incredibly inconsistent? And it can work both ways, because when you look at how they are playing, you can say that there is no way that they will be able to string together enough consistent production throughout potentially winning a wild card game to the divisional playoff, to the American League Championship Series, to the World Series, to ever sniff being a team that is in contention there. But also, you feel like they are one red hot stretch away of that 13 in a row Yankee team that we saw throughout the end of August, of being right there and as good a team in the American League as exists. And it's such a difficult team to get a read on, and just which team is going to show up. And you feel like you're right. Nothing is easy against even Baltimore. You got Gerrit Cole on the mound, or a team that really is historically bad and still needing that bloop to fall for you in the ninth inning to take the lead and avoid another loss that would really be soul crushing. But at the same time, you feel like you have to give them a ton of credit because of all the losses that they have endured throughout the year. And this is the worst loss of the year. No, this is the worst loss of the year. This is soul crushing, bone crushing, whatever adjective or descriptor you want to use to try and figure out and disseminate where the Yankees are with disappointment after disappointment. They have been able to overcome it. They've been able to persevere and get off the mat. And now you feel like they're at least in a spot where if things go right, they can compete. But about finding that consistency for them, and I'm just not sure I'm there with how consistent they play. It's one of those things where you have a hard time believing that they're going to be able to string all that together. I know it's possible. You got the two extremes, but to see them really get hot with the way they've been playing, I don't know that I believe as of yet.
Yeah, you talked about their 13-game winning streak, and their 13-game winning streak was followed by dropping 12 of their next 15 games. And I mean, they've had a lot of bad losses, but they've also had a lot of great wins, and they've put themselves in a position where they can easily make a wild card if they play well. And they certainly have the talent to play well. They have so much hitting. Their pitching may be a little weaker, but I mean, they have a Cy Young contender at the very least in Gerrit Cole, and they have many, many batters who can hit the ball out of the park. And they have enough talent to win. It's just a matter of consistently playing good baseball.
And the Yankees just going final at the moment, 4-3 winners over the Orioles to keep pace in the American League wild card chase. So they will at least remain having a share of the second wild card, and depending on, well, they would lose the tiebreaker to the Blue Jays at the moment, who hold the first one but tied in terms of record, and Boston one back in the loss column. And they're competing, and a lot of credit to them. I mean, as frustrating as it's been at times, they've been able to find ways to win and certainly keep pace. And one of the other things that I think is something important not to lose sight of is the difficulty that exists within the American League and the division. I mean, this is a difficult division to exist in, and the Yankees, again, by no means are meeting their expectations, but also to put it in context, they are 20 games over 500 and still fighting for their playoff lives in potential territory where they might not make the playoffs if they are not able to capitalize on some easy scheduling and finish strong in the regular season. Whereas if you look at where they might be if they were in the NL, for example, and of course that's not how it works, but St. Louis in sole possession of the second wild card, they're 6 games over 500. So just to put it in perspective, this is a difficult year for them. And look, no one's shedding tears for the Yankees, who have such a robust payroll and all the resources that are at their disposal. But just important to put the environment in perspective that they are in a more challenging landscape in the American League.
Yeah, the AL East is a very competitive division. I mean, the Rays with a payroll of only 30 million, they're a 90-win team. The Blue Jays and the Red Sox, I didn't think the Red Sox were going to be this good this year, but they've put together a very good season. The Blue Jays are solid. The Yankees are playing in a very tough division comparative to all of the other divisions. I mean, in the AL Central, the Indians are in second place with 70 wins, and the White Sox are in first with 83 wins, which is just about what the Yankees have as well. So they've got an uphill battle, but I think they have the talent to do it.
Yeah, you certainly have to feel that way, and now it's about for them potentially getting healthy too, and the status of a number of their pitchers in Luis Severino, perhaps Domingo Germán, being someone who could come back and be a factor, because you feel like this is a bullpen that is just extremely taxed, and they're able to get the victory tonight. Wandy Peralta doing enough, and Aroldis Chapman nailing down the save, but a guy like Chad Green, who has been up and down at times, and perhaps it's more about just the overworking for him. I mean, he has been used a lot throughout the course of the season by Aaron Boone as a guy who's just been there every day and has been healthy, and just another option that the Yankees have had to go to, and in particular because of some of the injuries and struggles for Aroldis Chapman in the case of Chad Green. But to see them get healthy and to see if those few arms in their pen are able to get them results, I think is a major factor for them down the line. Time running out. Can Luis Severino get healthy? Can Domingo Germán come back to potentially add something to their bullpen that is really running on fumes at the moment?
Yeah, Severino coming back would be big. I know at the beginning of the season, a lot of fans were wondering why they let Masahiro Tanaka go so easily, because it's been revealed that the Yankees starting lineup is thin behind an ace in Gerrit Cole. And so if somebody like Severino were to come back, were to be able to put together some wins, some good games, I think that could really help the Yankees.
Yeah, and I think that's perhaps really, as much as the battle is to be won on the field, it's also really an interesting battle off the field for them. And that might be perhaps more important, just how healthy can this team get, it perhaps determining their fate and destiny going forward, because it might be less about can the guys who are here really do it. I don't know if they've proved one way or the other, but it's trending toward, I don't know, in particular in the pitching staff department. But if they're able to get a number of reinforcements, you have to feel at least a little bit better about where they are than where they sit at the moment. But of course, all smiles in the Yankees dugout and clubhouse, at least at the moment, being able to find the victory against Baltimore and keep pace tied in the wild card chase. And now the eyes, of course, on the postseason and figuring all that out, and hopefully for them getting healthy and getting those contributions. And what I think is being lost a little bit in this season, which has been so turbulent and so difficult for the Yankees, is how good some of their top level players have been. And there's a lot of reason for negativity and a lot of reason to point out some of the shortcomings of a guy like Gleyber Torres or Gio Urshela, who has not been right since coming back and getting healthy. And, Brett Gardner, for example, who comes through with a massive hit tonight, or Luke Voigt, who has been in and out of the lineup, or an Aaron Hicks, who has missed most of the year. But when you look at the success that they have gotten from a guy like Aaron Judge, and I don't know that you can overstate what he has meant to this Yankees lineup and this clubhouse and everything with what he has done on a day-to-day basis. He has had just an outstanding season. I don't know if people are really appreciating that to the point that they need to, because I don't know where the Yankees are without Aaron Judge. I think Giancarlo Stanton, to that lesser degree, is in that category as well. I mean, these two guys are in the middle of the Yankees order. These are the guys the Yankees are paying and looking at to produce, and they have done that this year, which has to be the most encouraging thing.
Yeah, Judge has played very well. I know there were, for some reason, some trade rumors about moving off Aaron Judge in the middle of the season, but he's got over 30 home runs, close to 90 RBIs. He's batting close to 280. He's had a great season. Giancarlo Stanton, for what it's worth, has had a pretty good season as well. He's got over 20 home runs. Even Gary Sanchez has over 20 home runs, although his batting average is very low. And of course, you can't forget about Gerrit Cole, who's had a fantastic season for the Yankees on the mound.
Yeah, despite all the sticky stuff, commentary, and a really difficult start for him the next time out after all of that stuff went down. But he has had a Cy Young caliber season and has really been the driving force. It's been the Aaron Judges and the Stantons of the world, and even Sanchez to a lesser degree. And I know he is always a hot topic on any airwaves about how a number of people feel about Gary Sanchez. And yes, there are those defensive situations where you're scratching your head and saying, what is going on? But he has also been one of the better hitting catchers in all Major League Baseball, despite where he has been down just a bit this year. I mean, catchers don't hit, and Sanchez has provided that out of the catcher spot. But, where would this pitching staff be without a Gerrit Cole? And you mentioned that you don't really feel a ton comfortable with the Yankees rotation in back of Cole, and I don't think there's a ton of reason to blame you, that they have been reliable throughout most of the year. Can Jamison Tyone, another guy who has been perhaps their most reliable option, at least in the second half of the season outside of Cole, can he get healthy too, also on the IL? But I don't know if Cole is being given enough credit as well for how well the Yankees have been able to play at times, a 13-game winning streak, whatever it is, because this is a team that does not win when they don't pitch well, and Gerrit Cole has been at the forefront of that.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jamison Taillon, and Corey Kluber has also not done as well, former Cy Young winner, as well as hoped. And Jordan Montgomery's been solid, but there isn't really star power behind Gerrit Cole like there is in that batting lineup. Gerrit Cole is currently the favorite to win the Cy Young, so I think he deserves as much credit as Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton right now.